Welcome to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive. Today we're tackling one of the most talked about tactics in modern rugby, maybe the defining tactic, the Springboks' legendary bomb squad.
Yeah, legendary is the right word. It's been so central to their game plan.
Exactly. But, this year, 2025, it hasn't quite seemed to have the same, earth-shattering impact we've seen before. So we've got some really fascinating insights from former box coaches Nick Mallett and Heyneke Meyer on why that might be.
It's a really compelling topic, isn't it? Looking into those strategic bits and pieces that make the top teams tick. We'll unpack what they said, look at the players, the fitness, the tactics, all of it.
Right. Our mission today is pretty simple. Cut through the speculation, give you a clear, informed picture of what's happening with this famous strategy, get you those aha moments. And hey, if you love this kind of deep dive into rugby stories and strategies, make sure you hit that subscribe button now for more Rugby Obsession. Okay, so let's kick things off. For anyone maybe newer to this, what exactly is the bomb squad? Where did it come from?
Well, basically, it's the Springboks' smart move of stacking their bench, the replacements, with forwards. Usually 6, sometimes, believe it or not, 7 forwards out of 8 replacements.
Wow, 7.
Yeah, the whole idea is just relentless pressure, keeping that physical intensity sky high for the full 80 minutes. Rassie Erasmus, the current boss, really brought it in back in 2019. Changed the game, really.
You can't argue with the results, can you? It felt like it paid off almost immediately.
Oh, absolutely. It was massive for them winning back-to-back World Cups, 2019 and 2023. Can't forget the Lions series win either.
That tough 2-1 series, yeah.
Exactly. And last year's Rugby Championship win, too. It's hard to picture those victories without the bomb squad just, grinding teams down.
One of the most talked about moments, which you touched on, was that huge gamble in 2023, deploying a 7-1 bench split. 7 forwards, 1 back.
Against the All Blacks, no less, in a World Cup warm-up at Twickenham.
That's gutsy. Leaves you so exposed if a back gets injured.
It really does. And what's super interesting is how that 7-1 split played out. They used it against Ireland in a pool match and lost.
Right, they lost that one.
But then they used it again in a World Cup final against the All Blacks and won. Just barely. But they won.
Shows the fine margins, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Maybe, the Irish game exposed that vulnerability differently, perhaps an early injury or just how Ireland attacked. But the final against New Zealand, it was such a war of attrition. Maybe that sheer forward power just tipped the balance in the end. It shows even the best strategy depends on the day, the opponent, how things unfold.
Okay, so we've seen it dominate. But what happens when things start to shift? That's the 2025 puzzle we're looking at. The coaches we mentioned, Mallett and Meyer, they point to a couple of main things: injuries and Rassie's rotation policy. Let's start with Nick Mallett's view. Why does he think it's been less effective?
Mallett's take is pretty direct. He thinks the main issue now is a growing gap in quality, a difference between the starting guys, the first-choice players, and the ones coming off the bench later in the game.
And he names names, doesn't he? He gets specific about who's missing.
He does. He highlights some big absences. No Franz Malherbe, their rock at tight head prop, injured.
Yeah. Huge loss.
Massive.
Yep.
And then Bongi and Benambi and Malcolm Marks, both world-class hookers. They've been struggling or unavailable at times. Plus, guys like Gerhard Steenkamp, Jan-Hendrik Wessels, also injured.
And the loose forwards, too. I remember reading that.
Yeah, a whole list. Elrie Lou, Cameron Hanekom, Sia Khaleesi's been in and out, Warno Augustus, Ben Jason Dixon, Jasper Wise, either injured or likewise suspended. And then you've got Stephen Kitchoff retiring.
Kitchoff, yeah, tons of experience gone there.
Exactly. So Mallett's saying, you put all that together, and it's tough to maintain that elite-level bench power.
He even kind of sketches out his ideal effective bomb squad, doesn't he? Like, who should be there?
He does. He mentioned Steenkamp, Wessels at hooker, Thomas du Toit, R.G. Snyman. He says Snyman needs to get back to full fitness and form.
Right, consistency.
Yeah. Then Ruan Norche, or Franco Mostert, and Quagga Smith, or Marco Ben Staden. And he really stresses having Handré Pollard involved, starting or on the bench, to manage the game. Avoids issues like they apparently had in that Ellis Park test. So it really comes down to squad depth, doesn't it? Mallett's basically saying you need truly elite players right down the list for this strategy to work perfectly. Not just good players, but guys who could start for almost anyone else.
Yeah, that elite level depth. Okay, so Mallett focuses on player availability, the quality of the individuals, but Heyneke Meyer brings a different angle, more about the game itself changing. How does he see it?
Meyer looks at the bigger picture. The trend is how replacements are used across the board in top-level rugby. He says, historically, subs were mostly for injuries. Guys came on for maybe 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, just to plug a gap, usually.
Right. But now, Meyer argues, the thinking has shifted. Successful teams, the winning teams, they aim to finish the match with their most experienced players on the pitch.
Ah, okay. So it's not just fresh legs, it's experienced heads in those tight finishes.
Exactly. He says the margins between winning and losing are tiny at the top. So having that composure, that leadership, that experience, making the right calls under pressure in the last 15, 20 minutes, that's often the difference maker.
And he used that Wallabies loss at Ellis Park as an example of what happens when you don't have that experience, right?
Spot on. He points right at that game. The bomb squad has guys like Bowen Venter, Esanathi Natlabakanye, very talented, sure, but with only maybe 1 or 2 caps at the time.
Very green at test level.
Very. And meanwhile, the more experienced front rowers, Wessels, Nyking, Kitchoff, Steenkamp, Machunu, they were all out injured. So Meyer argues that lack of big game experience on the bench really hurt them in crucial moments.
Such a contrast to the guys who made the bomb squad famous.
Huge contrast.
Yeah.
Meyer highlights that the original bomb squad had guys like Kitchoff, Snyman, Quagga Smith, Malcolm Marks, players with serious pedigrees, players who'd start for almost any other country.
Right.
His point is, newer guys, maybe 5, 10 caps, they're often thinking about cementing their own place, proving themselves. Understandable. But veterans, 30, 40, 50 caps, they could focus purely on the team, on getting the win collectively. That mindset is invaluable.
And didn't he mention how that experience specifically paid off against the All Blacks?
He did. He talked about last year's Rugby Championship wins in Joburg and Cape Town. He felt the Boks' experienced bench was the key difference, especially as New Zealand, maybe due to their own selection policies at the time, had some less experienced players on the field late in those games. The Boks capitalized.
So it's really interesting how Mallett's point about the quality of players and Meyer's point about the need for experience in modern rugby kind of dovetail, isn't it?
Yeah, they're like two sides of the same coin. If injuries hit your top-tier talent pool, like Mallett says, then Meyer's argument about needing experienced finishers becomes even more critical and harder to achieve.
It suggests the bomb squad isn't just about brute force anymore. It's a real balancing act, managing talent, experience, game situations. Okay. Before we look ahead, just a quick reminder. If you're finding this breakdown useful, hit that subscribe button for Rugby Obsession. We love digging into these details.
Right, let's look forward then. The big one coming up, the All Blacks at Eden Park. Always a massive test. Do the coaches think we'll see the bomb squad return in full force? Maybe even the 7-1 split?
Well, Mallett seems to think so. He says if all the bulk forwards were fit and ready to go, he wouldn't be surprised at all if Rassie rolled the dice with a 7-1 split again, even for a third time.
Wow. Doubling down.
Yeah, suggests the desire is still there if the players are available, especially for a game like that.
And Meyer, does he agree?
Meyer's pretty much on the same page. He says Erasmus will definitely consider a 7-1 split for Eden Park if the squad is fit. He points out, New Zealand will want to play fast.
They always do at home. Right. So the Bucks will need that overwhelming physicality, that set-piece dominance to counter it. A 7-1 split gives you the ultimate forward power for that. Meyer even throws a name out there like Andre Esterhuizen, saying he'd probably need to be that one back on the bench in a 7-1 scenario. Big physical midfielder.
Yeah, covers multiple bases defensively.
Exactly. Meyer does admit the 6-2 split is probably the safer option, more conventional. But then he highlights the Bucks' incredible luxury. He says they're blessed with 2 packs of forwards who could start for any other country.
That's quite a statement.
It is. He even suggests only France really comes close to that kind of forward depth right now, which is why maybe France might also think about a 7-1 split sometimes. It underlines that even with the current issues, that fundamental forward strength is still a massive asset for the Boks.
So it seems, despite the challenges this year, the potential power is still there. The strategic option remains. We'd love to hear what you think listening to this. Do Mallett's points about player quality resonate more, or Meyer's about experience? What do you see as the biggest factor affecting the bomb squad in 2025? Let us know down in the comments.
Okay, so we've really unpacked a lot there. The reasons behind the bomb squad's, let's say, slightly less dominant year in 2025. Injuries, player availability, the changing face of how replacements are used, invaluable insights from Mallett and Meyer.
It really does show, doesn't it? Even a tactic that's been wildly successful needs tweaking, needs adaptation. And crucially, it needs that constant pipeline of top-tier talent to keep its edge. The strategic chess game in rugby never stops.
Absolutely. So here's a final thought for you to chew on, something to consider. Even with these current hurdles, the injuries, the need to blend in new faces, the Springboks' incredible forward depth, combined with their coach's known willingness to innovate, suggests the spirit of the bomb squad isn't going anywhere, whether it's 6-2 or 7-1 on the day. That philosophy of forward power seems ingrained.
Exactly. So how does this ongoing need for both elite depth and battle-hardened experience change how South Africa develops its next wave of talent? Especially thinking long-term, towards defending those World Cups again. Is it becoming as much a challenge of player pathway and succession as it is pure on-field strategy? Lots to think about there. Thank you for listening to this Rugby Obsession Deep Dive. We really hope you enjoyed it, and we'll look forward to you listening to our next episode. And one last time, don't forget to subscribe to Rugby Obsession for more deep dives into the world of rugby.